Joe, you and I are both bulls on New York. We grew up here, you in Brooklyn, me in Manhattan. So we're going to want to see it come back. What are you seeing now? What do you expect it to be in September as the investment bankers come back?
Right, thank you. We're already getting good readings. Gyms are starting to fill up already. Restaurants are already reporting some good sales numbers, and even a little bit of tourism starting up. So hopefully the warm weather brings in a wave of excitement. And I think by September we get, as I call it, the violent reopening of New York City.
What does a violent reopening look like for a real estate guy?
We happen to be benefiting a little. You know, everyone's biggest fear today is inflation. That's why you see so much focus on maybe investing in oil or copper or crypto, et cetera. But ultimately, the best inflation head people know is real estate. And you see all over the country people running to buy homes. And I think that with the violent reopening of New York is going to come together to be a positivity and maybe the first turnaround that we've seen in New York in quite a while.
How does the sort of migration to Miami affect what you see? I feel like a lot of private equity or banks are either opening branches or offices or hedge funds moving down there. Have you noticed that? Like, what do you see through your dealings?
I noticed it big time. I tell our team two things that have impacted us the most in New York City is Zoom and taxes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I say Zoom is the new air conditioning. What air conditioning did in America, go back decades, was help so many people feel comfortable to live further from the big city, further from New York, and migrate down south. And now what replaced that is Zoom enabled them, and to be candid, taxes. Taxes, taxes, taxes.
So we could be hit with the good and the bad, right? Like it seems like we could get SALT coming back, but at the same time, Governor Cuomo just looks to be ramping up taxes for the wealthy in New York. So how does that play out in the real estate market?
Well, personally, I do believe that, as I joke, starting January 6th, that Schumer and Pelosi got elected as a triumvirate presidency. And so I believe that, you know, one of his top agendas is making SALT taxes deductible, as you just alluded to. So I think that that's a critical item to rebalance things. And I think that is going to make a big difference to New York. And then the second thing is that, you know, we've been hurting more disproportionately more than probably any other city in the United States, maybe even globally. And I think that stimulus money, if you look at it broken down, way disproportionate beneficiary is New York City, cultural institutions, population densities. And so I look at that as making for an explosive reopening for New York. So I say everybody's wrong. Don't count out New York.
So Joe, talk to me about the retail space here, because I pointed out the Starbucks, but downstairs and on Lexington Avenue, there is nobody. There is like a high-end chocolatier, a Zara, and a Sephora. Everything else has just totally closed. What goes there now?
Okay, I'll give you, everything's got a positive and a negative, the other side of the coin. I'll give you the other side of the coin that's much more exciting than people realize. First of all, cheaper apartments means that younger people, people at a lower income strata could come back into New York City and afford it for the first time. And within that same realm is the same thing in retail. If the rents cost somebody half the amount they cost before, or 60% less than what it cost them before, that's going to allow for more creative businesses. When you have rents moving into the multi-thousands per square foot, it squelches out a lot of that creativity that makes for a city. And one of the curveballs I'll throw you is that while within the last year it's been scary watching the migrations of businesses from New York to those southern markets in Nashville and Florida, take Carbone, the Italian restaurant. For the first time, we're seeing reverse migration back to New York. We just met with a creative concept coming out of Charleston. We met with another creative concept coming out of Nashville, and we met with one coming out of Austin. So bad news could be creativity, good news for New York, and give us almost like a new chance and a new lease on life.
That got everyone excited in the control room, that Carbone will be coming back. Okay, so this is sort of a dovetail on that question. What kind of changes are you making to your retail portfolio now? What do you expect to be making over the next 6 months?
For ourselves is focusing on creativity. You know, in the past, you know, it used to be all about, to be candid, in the retail side, which is not the biggest weighting for us. The biggest weighting is laboratories and e-commerce, industrial logistics. But in terms of the retail side of the portfolio, is focusing on what I just said: the more creative tenants, the younger tenants, the guys that are coming from other cities and now ready to give New York City a chance. And then, to be candid, the mainstay of our business, which has been the last 5, 6 years, has been focusing on biotechnology laboratories and
Hmm.
e-commerce logistics. And if anything, that's been on fire and continuing to ramp up for us globally.
Before I let you go, you do have holdings elsewhere outside of the U.S. and outside of New York. Are people traveling? Are people going places? Like, are you seeing Mexico open up again?
It's funny you said that. Yes, Al, Mexico, we're one of the largest, maybe the largest developer in the country in Mexico, and we do own many resorts, and we're seeing explosive growth. It's what we're seeing in Playa del Carmen, in Tulum, Mexico, in Cabo San Lucas. We're seeing explosive growth in people looking for resort destinations, and that's something that doesn't have to wait till September. It's already started. It always used to be about city hotels. And by the way,
Hmm.
I do believe New York City comes back. In fact, we're grand opening, which we didn't announce yet, but in another 10 days, we'll be grand opening a brand new hotel in Soho in New York.
Oh.
But we are seeing the explosive demand in the resort side of the business for 6 months, and now we're counting on it coming back to New York City.